Hello. Thank you for being here, guys. I appreciate it so much. I am Jacqueline, and this is Chesticles. I've named this my very first podcast, Chesticles, because I have brass balls. I do. I know I do. I have a big mouth, and it gets me in trouble, but it's given me quite a bit of success in my life, so I'm not complaining. I would never intentionally do anything to hurt anybody or anything to embarrass anybody else, but I love to make fun of myself. I don't take myself too seriously, so I have a couple of fun things I want to talk about and tell you some funny stories, and I'm going to start light. So, I was a singer in a band, a cover band, with my friend Charlie, who I just love. He's like a brother to me. And we used to just do local pubs and things like that and cover songs, anything really. We did a lot of different music. I am not a musician. Repeat, I am not a musician. So imagine the patience it took for Charlie to deal with me and not knowing what key was what or what a key even was. And that old saying, I don't know, singing in whiskey. Well, he has the patience of a saint. And he worked with me, and we sang and we performed, and I had so much fun. I did that for 9 years. So I have a lot of funny stories about that. So I'm going to start with this one. So I'm singing, crowd's going, it's fun, having a great time. We go on a short break, and I see this group of gentlemen in their fatigues, and gosh, I love America, and I love our servicemen, and they just do so much, and I'm so grateful. So I thought, as the entertainer, I'm going to go up to them and tell them, because you know what? They don't hear it enough. That's my opinion. They don't hear it enough. So I'm not going to lie. I may have had 1 or 7 drinks. I can't remember, but I do go up to the table, and I said, "Oh, excuse me, gentlemen, I just want to thank you so much for what you do. For your service, for your sacrifice, all you're giving, the ultimate gift, so that you can be free to live in America, or we can be free too." And I'm just in admiration as I look around the table, and I'm just going on, and I'm gushing. And okay, yes, I was a little tipsy, but I wanted them to know. And they're staring at me and staring at me and staring at me. And I said, so I just came over to just thank you for all the sacrifice, the things that you do. And one of the guys looks right up at me. He says, "Ma'am, we're hunters." Yeah. I went up to a table of hunters and told them, "Thank you for your service." Now listen, don't get me wrong. We need hunters, and people need to eat. I get all that. But only me, only Jacqueline, with my chesticles, could walk up to this table and say all this and gush over them, only to find out they weren't in fatigues. They were in hunting gear. And I'm so dumb, I didn't know the difference. I mean, didn't it occur to me? Well, nobody has any name tags on. I don't know. It's just one of the many stupid things I've done because I'm embarrassing. And that's just kind of how it is. So I wanted to share that story with you. Always a favorite. Another story I have is many years ago, I dated this really nice guy. Really super nice. Gentleman, a real gentleman, and you don't get a lot of them. You'll be hearing a lot about my dating life. I didn't get married till I was 34 years old, so that's my excuse. It's a real long time that I dated different people, and I'm an open opportunity person. I'm very open-minded, so, it didn't take a lot to get through the, okay, I'll go out with you phase. But this guy was different. He was a really, really nice guy, and we were dating, and the funny thing is he had, it's not funny really, but he had an aneurysm. Not while we were dating, it was before I met him. But this aneurysm, thank God he came back from it and he was healthy. The only side effect is he had short-term memory loss. And imagine how frustrating that is. I know as I'm getting older and I'm having, what did I come in here for? What's that? That stuff that happens. But this was what he lived with every day. He couldn't remember simple things, and he would have a calendar. But he once told me that some days he would go through the whole calendar in one day because he just couldn't remember what was going on. Very hard life for him. Well, one day, he sent me flowers, which was so kind. I just appreciated it so much. He was such a nice guy. And then, we went out to dinner, or maybe I made him dinner. I can't remember what we did that night. And then the next day he comes over and he looks at the flowers and he has this hard look on his face. He said, "Who sent you those?" I'm not lying. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I'm telling you, this is what he said to me. I said, "You sent them to me." "I don't remember sending those." I'm like, "I know, because remember, short-term memory thing." And he goes, I don't remember. And he's getting upset, and I feel so bad. So I go over. Fortunately, he, signed the card. So his name was on it, and he was okay then. But what a great guy. I hope he's doing well. Haven't heard from him. We've been many, many years. But that's another funny story. But he was a good guy. I got some bad guy stories too. Oy, do I have bad guy stories. They're going to be coming up in future podcasts. I assure you of that. But this is my first one, and I'm really excited, and I'm nervous, and I'm curious about what you think, what you want to hear about. And I'll leave you with one last funny story. I have funny stories in my family too. Oh my gosh, just funny things that happen. We're just fun family, loud and fun. That's how we are. But I'll leave you with this last funny story, and this is embarrassing for me because this is what I did. So, what I did was, I had to go to the chiropractor. After working in dentistry as long as I have, it takes a toll on your back. You're constantly hunched over. It's very difficult. And my job was an EFTA, EFTA, and that means Expanded Functions Dental Assistant, or as I like to call myself, an extra funky dental assistant. But so what I could do is fill the teeth, make the temporary crowns, do all the stuff that's fun in dentistry for me, but I didn't have to give injections, and I didn't have to pull teeth or do root canals, anything like that. So that was what I did most of my life until I got into management, which I got to tell you, I got some podcasts coming up on that. Oh, corporate world is interesting. Well, anyway, I'm filling this lady's tooth, and I'm wrong. I should have looked at her chart more thoroughly, and I did not. I was rushing, which is unacceptable, but I did not look at her chart. And she's in the chair, and the doctor prepared her tooth for her filling. I'm assisting him, which is aka spit sucking, and rinsing and all that. So the doctor leaves the room. I sit down. I'm ready to fill her teeth. Now, these were past the days of silver fillings, where if you got it a little bit wet with saliva, it wasn't the end of the world. There's actually some people who will tell you that, hey, it corrodes the silver into the tooth, which makes it last longer. I don't know. I don't know any science about that, but most of the time after my first 10 years, I guess, we really only used white fillings, even for back teeth, tooth-colored fillings. The ones that cost a little extra with your insurance, because your insurance is only going to pay for the silver filling. So you have to tell somebody that they have to pay an extra $50 if they want it. It was insurance companies, that's a whole other subject, but I digress. So this lovely older woman is in the chair. I switch my chair to sit back where the doctor was, since he's left the room, and I begin my process. Now, if any of you are artists or have ever done any type of body work on cars, it's very similar when you fill a tooth, believe it or not. First, you have to prepare the tooth structure and use a phosphoric etch. And this gel etch just kind of makes the material porous and more prepared to accept the bonding material. And you rinse that off, and then you apply the bonding liquid, okay, which this bonding liquid then goes into those porosities, and then you light cure that. And afterwards, you apply this clay-like tooth-colored material in layers, and you cure each layer, and it's very tedious, but, I had been around a long time by then, so for me, I could do it with my eyes closed. But the most important thing with these white fillings compared to the silver, you must keep them dry. You must keep them dry. They do not accept any moisture, whether it's just regular water or especially not saliva. So the technique is extensively trickier. So I begin to prepare her tooth and put her cotton in her mouth and keep her dry. And this time, like I said, I got this down. I've been doing this, a long time. So I notice as I'm beginning that she keeps shaking her foot. Those people that shake their foot, they just some of it's nerve, some of it's habit. I've actually read that it's not bad for you to keep moving and shaking your foot. Not while I'm trying to fill your tooth though, because I don't want to get anything wet. I want you to have this filling last as long as your life. I mean, I can't guarantee that, but certainly I want it to be the best filling you've ever had. So I'm trying to keep her dry, and she's moving, and every time she's moving, I'm trying to fill the tooth. And so I very gently I said, hey, do me a favor, I need you to stop moving your leg. She says, yeah, okay. So we start and we begin again, and I've got the cotton rolls in. It's immaculately dry. It's a perfect scenario. Everything's ready to go. And she's still shaking her leg again. And now I don't want to do a bad job, okay? I refuse to do a bad job. And, I worked with children for a while too, so I know wiggle worms. But this is a big filling, and I didn't want her to have to get a crown because that's a lot of money. So I really want to make this the best filling she's ever going to have. She's wiggling her foot again. More cotton, more suction. I have a slide. Now, I don't have an assistant. The dentists have an assistant, but when you're an EFTA, you don't have an assistant. You do all this by yourself. It's funny because dentists will often say, well, I can't do that today. We're going to have to cancel. I don't have an assistant. And I think, buddy, I've been doing this by myself for decades, but again, I digress. I told you I could talk the balls off a pool table. So she's shaking her leg and shaking her leg and shaking her leg. All right, so finally I said, listen, I want to give you the best possible filling ever. We need you to stop shaking your leg, okay? I don't want this to be a bad feeling. I want it to be perfect. And she says, okay, I understand, but you do know I have Parkinson's. No, I didn't know she had Parkinson's because me, the idiot, never looked at her full medical history on her chart. Because, why not? The doctor had already started, and, here we go. My bad. I was wrong. No, I didn't know she had Parkinson's. The poor woman can't help shaking. So what do? Miss Fast on her feet chesticles over here? I can't tell her I don't know that because she's coming there long enough that I should have known. I said, I know you have Parkinson's, but I know that if you really focus just for a few minutes, you can keep that leg still. And she did. Leave it to me, chesticles over here, to tell somebody who has Parkinson's to please stay still. Yeah, that's another fave. The filling turned out beautiful. She was actually able to keep her leg still for me to get done, and it all ended well. But I just wanted to tell you that other funny story of how much of an idiot I am and how funny this is that I put myself in this situation. I tend to do that. I put myself in situations that are very difficult to come out of. But fortunately, I was fast on my feet. I did not insult her. I did not hurt her feelings. And I did not ever look at another patient unless I read their chart for full, back to front. And I made sure of it. I hope you enjoyed my first podcast. These are some of the funnier stories I have, but boy, do I have a lot of them. And then you can also write, what do you want to hear? You want to hear about? I have lots of different things. I have grown up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania proper. I live in the suburbs, and I have 2 children. I'm very happy with my children, and I have a little dog, a little chihuahua, but not one of those yappy chihuahuas. A really, really good, my baby Tico. Love my dog. But I've lived a life, I'll tell you. And I really have a lot of these stories to tell you. And as I said previously, I have started to write a book, and this is taking me longer than I like. So I finally decided to do a podcast, and this is my very first episode. So welcome to it. Thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting me. And, subscribe. Here's some more funny stories of the idiotic things I've done in my life and some of the idiotic things people have done to me. I have no hate in my heart. I will not put down anyone. I like to do accents. I like to do, a Spanish accent or, a Mexican accent or an Indian accent. This is not to do any insulting to anyone. I love all people. Don't flip the script and make my idea of storytelling with accents out to be some sort of a prejudice thing. I just won't have it. It's just not who I am. But anyway, there's lots more to come. I look forward to my next podcast, and I hope you have a great day. Subscribe to hear more. Bye.